to the Nasboys podcast. Did you know that all 90 laps of Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series race at Watkins Glen were able to be completed in 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 44 seconds? So just about 2 hours. It's the shortest race time for a full distance NASCAR Cup Series event since the 1971 Buddy Schumann 276 at Hickory Speedway on August 28th, 1971. It's a really interesting fact. So, anyways, guys, welcome to the Nasboys podcast. I'm your host, Mike, aka Mike Fop Fan 101, with my good friend and co-host Christian, aka Savage NASCAR.
Well, do Nasboys crew, and that fact was via TobyChristie.com. They do a great job with stats and facts. So, very quick weekend, honestly, as you mentioned on the post, a very quick race on Sunday. And just overall, this weekend just flew by, and it was good weather, honestly, throughout the East Coast. So, I remember seeing sort of like that fact before about Hickory Speedway. They used to run like 276 miles at that track back in the 70s and 60s. So, they still have racing there every Saturday. But anyways, Mike, let's start with Cup Series. Why not? And then go into Xfinity and then news, so on, so on. What did you think about the Cup race? Because honestly, it was just dominated by William Byron. He led 66 in the 90 laps. I picked him to win, but I didn't expect him to dominate like that.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was somewhat of an interesting race. The first part of it was really dominated by Michael McDowell, who I want to give a lot of the credit to before I get into how good Byron was the entire race. He won the first stage, and he was looking like the car to beat, and then he made a very bad penalty. He went through too many stops. If you haven't seen that, or stalls, excuse me. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
Driver Micah McDowell, a penalty. What he did a week ago was perfection. Great execution. This time, driving through too many boxes. You're only allowed 3. There's blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, drivers on the left side, which is the same as Indy. They've done this. So let's just count this, right? As he turns right, he touches box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4. He's in pit stall 5. You can only drive through 3. It wasn't even close. It'll be a pass-through penalty for McDowell. A huge mistake for a driver that was perfect a week ago.
So unfortunate for Michael McDowell. He looked like a true contender to really go back-to-back, and he looked really fast the whole weekend. But once McDowell made that penalty, Byron kind of just came to life. It seemed like nobody really had an answer for him.
Mm-hmm.
One person that I really want to mention is Chase Elliott. Here's the thing. I understand that there's one more race for the regular season at Daytona, but I think he's done. I don't see him doing that great at Daytona. I think he'll have maybe a top 10, but I don't see him winning the race. And I think he's in a must-win position. And I feel like that this is really Bubba Wallace's race to get into the playoffs. But we will talk about that toward the end of the episode probably, or whenever. But I just wanted to point out that I feel like Chase Elliott's done. This is not the weekend he needed to have. I think he started 15th, if I'm correct. I know it was somewhere.
Yeah. He started around there because he missed he didn't advance his round in qualifying.
Right. And I just want to say he's really hard on himself too. I see what a lot of the people are talking about. I hope that this season he's just having a tough year. I feel like it's not anything really with the driver, but I hope it doesn't shadow his confidence. I feel bad for him. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but he's a great racer. He's a champ, and I don't want to see that shadow his confidence. But race was pretty good. Otherwise, I think I would have to give it maybe around 7 out of 10.
Honestly, McDowell, he led 17 laps, and I thought he was going to be more contender. He ended up finishing last. He had some electrical problems, and it put him in the last position during the race. Chase Elliott, it was a bad strategy call. He ended up running out of gas, And a lot of people were blaming how do you say his last name? Gustafson. I messed it up, but
I
Alan
think you're right.
Gustafson is his crew chief, and a lot of people been blaming him for a lot of stuff this year. I'm not gonna lie, and he has had some terrible moments, but the nine team's just been struggling, and I feel like a lot of Chase Elliott fans are definitely gonna be humbled by this because some of them just have some unreal expectations for them, and honestly, not there is years where champions struggle. There's been years where some teams that won championships have struggled either the year after or the 2 years after. We've seen it happen with Tony Stewart. We've seen it happen with Dale Sr. So it doesn't surprise me that they're struggling this year, but I definitely expected them to win at least one before this. So
Oh yeah.
it's not been a great season. It's been a nightmare for Chase Elliott. I mean, you've seen what he's been through with the injury, the suspension, and just bad moments in general.
Right. But I feel like Chase has been really lucky with not having as many bad seasons. So for this to be kind of the worst season in like his 7th or 8th year of Cup Series competition, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Because a lot of Cup Series drivers struggle way before this point. So
definitely.
he should be happy about that, at least.
Yeah, and he finished a lap down at 32nd. There's actually 31 cars that finished on lead lap, which is absolutely crazy to me considering how long it went green. Yeah, I just feel like with this next gen car, it's hard to lap people, especially on road courses. So it's crazy. But Hendrick Motorsports 5 wins in a row at Watkins Glen. I could definitely see them winning it again next year. Denny Hamlin was second pretty much the entire race. Almost all my fantasy drivers were in the top 10 throughout the entire race, and that helped me win the fantasy today. But a couple of drivers I want to point out that moved up a lot of positions in the race. Ryan Blaney from 23rd to 9th. Todd Gilliland started 25th and finished 11th. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. started 28th and finished 13th. So those were some of the big movers in the race today. Another notable, Ryan Preece from 30th to 17th. So one driver that I thought would have done better was Kyle Larson, but then again, he got into it with Austin Dillon on the last lap. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
And an issue here. Look at this as they were coming off of turn 7. You see the 3 of Austin Dillon parked there. Drivers trying to get across the finish line to end this race, and Dillon was sideways. Take a look at why.
2 wide, maybe 3 wide there. It looks like Larson is to the inside of the 3. Oh, Larson with the big slide makes heavy contact. The 7's there as well. Both ends up going around. I didn't see that out of Larson. We only saw the 3 sitting there. Larson must have gets it refired here pretty quick, I'm guessing.
Larson was battling for 19th with Austin Dillon there to the end. Dillon had gone through a lot in the race. He had made his way back up there, and they just made contact off of the final turn and ended up spinning around. So what was your thoughts on that? Because honestly, it was a racing deal, but Larson moved up the track.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying. From what I saw, Austin kind of bumped him a little bit at first, but what I didn't like is that he was riding a little bit more on his left rear quarter panel, and then eventually just kind of pushed him off. And then, I don't blame Larson for being upset, but he just couldn't get the right angle to spin him out, so he kind of just wrecked himself, broke the Landon Castle #1 rule of stock car racing, and they both kind of spun out and just had terrible days. But I don't know why Austin Dillon was riding his quarter panel like that. I understand why you might want to bump him out of the way if it's like, 4 to go or something like that. But I mean, come on, dude, don't ride on his quarter panel when you're trying to bump him. Just try to pass him normally. But that's what we get when Austin Dillon tries to act like the rip-off intimidator, even though he's one of the least intimidating drivers in the field.
Gosh, yeah.
But Yeah, not too many thoughts this week. Nobody said great. Nobody said good. 100% said meh/okay. Wow. I didn't think the race was that bad. And 0% said bad. No thoughts. 100% on Dylan's side. And driver of the day. Nobody. I'm going to go with William Byron. I would say Michael McDowell, but William Byron looked like the better car toward the end after the penalty and McDowell's electrical problem.
Yeah, William Byron's pretty much the obvious answer here.
Right. All right. Now I guess we can talk about the Xfinity series. What did you think?
Honestly, the Xfinity race was the better race. I feel like. I didn't. I mean, I wasn't surprised by Ty Gibbs winning that, or about to win that when he dominated that one. That's what I should say. I wasn't surprised by his dominance in that one early on. He led 70 of the 86 laps, so that that didn't surprise me at all, considering he's pretty good at road courses in the Xfinity series. We saw a couple incidents in this race. I'm pretty sure we saw Kaz Gralla go through the grass at one point. He had contact with Cole Custer.
And a spot up for grabs just outside of the top 10 with Kaz Gralla going at it right there.
Yeah, these two continue to battle side by side into the bus stall, beating and banging right there, way offline. Sammy Smith is going to give up a couple spots, at least one there to Hemrick.
As we see Sam Mayer now, once again.
We saw a couple wrecks with Josh Williams hitting someone under caution.
Let's take a look at what happened.
Yeah, so this is the 44 of Stephen Parsons, and you're going to be shocked to see, I mean, some damage, but nothing compared to the 92. So all the way at the top of the screen, you're going to see everybody start to check up. And the 25 of Moffitt right there, you see just to the side of Stephen Parsons, the heavy damage to Josh Williams. And we heard over the radio, he had said that he was adjusting something inside the car, a helmet hose or something. It was literally just not looking up.
Riley Herbst was running really well. He made a really impressive pass early in the race. I forgot who was on, but he made a really good pass. I think it was on Austin Hill, I believe, but he ended up going out with a suspension issue. Max McLaughlin, he ended up wrecking.
The day has come out, and it's for Max McLaughlin here as we see so much damage to the 96. And take a look at why it happened.
Look up ahead, it just looks like either rear wheel lock up or wheel hop. You see pretty heavy contact, just some sort of an issue, either mechanical issue or just overdrove the entry, but pretty hard. Got fortunate right there, those two cars mixed them.
He had a big wreck towards the end that took out a couple guys. I think Justin Allgaier was involved, Alex Bowman. Couple really good contenders that got taken out by a wreck coming into the long sweeping right-handed turn. I forgot what turn it was on this track, but I'm pretty sure it was either turn 6 or 7.
Kaz Gralla gets it under control. Lots of contact, cars coming through. Oh, the 7's around in front of the field. A lot of cars piling in. Big damage. The 20, the 9 car, the 26. Bowman in the 17 spun out. Foam everywhere.
But honestly, Sam Mayer, he got ran into the wall by Ty Gibbs. So I feel like Gibbs got what he deserved, honestly, because Gibbs just races entitled all the time. So it's about time.
Back up through the gears. All the way to the wall was the 19 of Gibbs. They're 4 wide into turn 1. The 7 of Allgaier goes way wide. Gibbs comes out, and he's side by side for the lead.
Side by side into turn number 2. Everybody rooting and gouging for every bit of real estate they can find. Ty Gibbs, Sam Mayer make contact. Mayer hits the Armco. Gibbs is away with the lead. That's going to bottle up everybody from second on back.
Ty Gibbs back into the gas. Austin Hill on his outside. Gibbs into turn 1. Contact made. He's tagged. Mayer gets into the back of him and around it goes. Hill also collected in it. They spin around. So far we stay green. We'll see if they keep going.
And it's Sheldon Creed that will take the lead in turn 2.
Overtime presented by Credit One, and now side by side for the lead. Creed misses turn 7, and around him goes Mayer. Mayer out in front, and they're spinning behind him as the white flag comes out. He has saved fuel maybe better than anyone at the Glen. Sam Mayer comes out of turn number 7. Does he have enough to get to the checkered flag? Creed is going to finish second. Mayer's going to win at Watkins Glen.
Time someone did something about it. I thought it was kind of funny. They got spun out by Mayer, but you get what you got coming to you. But one driver that I thought was running a lot of people off the track too is John Hunter Nemechek. I saw a couple incidents where he was running people wide, but I guess he's just trying to clear them or whatever. So some other drivers, some other notables. Parker Kilgerman finished third in the race. Sheldon Creed finished second, so 1-2, 1-2. With Mayer winning, and then Ross Chastain, he ended up finishing fourth, which surprised me because Chastain honestly has struggled with the last couple of Xfinity starts he's been in. And then Connor Mosack finished fifth, so that was pretty cool to see. Jeff Burton was 10th, another big mover in the race. He started 25th, and then Brendan Poole started 32nd and finished 12th, so shout out to him. But what did you think about it?
I thought the race was pretty solid. I definitely agree with you. It's the better race of the weekend for sure. Let's say Connor Mosack, I think he had a couple incidents. I know there was one where he went through the sand trap, and I think there was another one where he spun out, but I think that might have been Casgrau. I gotta watch it again. They had like similar colored cars, but I think Connor Mosack, he does a pretty good job whenever he's in his Xfinity starts for Sam Hunt or Joe Gibbs Racing. Let's see, Josh Williams. I don't know what that guy was thinking. Apparently, he was trying to plug his headphone back in, and he just ended up running into, I don't know who he ran into, but he ran into somebody. And, you don't do that while you're on the track under the yellow. That's like if you're in traffic and you're trying to turn the radio up or something like that. That's literally the NASCAR equivalent to that. He should have just waited till he was like on pit road, or they were side by side at least. But I don't know what he was thinking. But stuff happens. It's life. Let's see. The ending though is really what I want to bring up. I mean, Ty Gibbs clearly ran Sam Mayer in the wall, whether it was intentional or not. He did run Mayer down up the wall, so I can see where he was upset. But Mayer did that in a way where he overdrove the corner to kind of make it look like an accident. But from what I heard, he said something on the radio. I think, I'm not entirely sure because I didn't listen to the scanner, and I don't know where you can find his scanner. But if it was intentional, then yeesh, I don't know what to say about that. But I don't know why Ty Gibbs is so like passionate about the Xfinity series when he's in the Cup series. He made kind of a D-bag comment. I understand why he's upset about being, taken out of the race, but here's what he said.
And Ty Gibbs going to officially be credited with, I believe it's a 17th place finish today. So Sam called that a racing incident. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think when you have to race out of desperation like that and you wheel hop and clean the leader out, it's just it's, I guess you can call it a racing move in that book, but it just really sucks. We had really fast Monster Energy. He gets us Toyota Supra. I really appreciate all the hard work from them, and we had a great time out there. Definitely wish that caution didn't come out there, but it definitely sucks to get cleaned out there. So had a good time running these things this year.
When you lead as many laps as you lead today, 70, have a day like you had, how do you make your peace with the result and the result the way it happened?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just it's a part of life and it's a part of racing, and you just get over it. And when there's stuff like that happens and desperate moves like that happen, it's just it's just part of it, and you just got to keep going. And we had a great car today. I appreciate all the hard work from my guys back at the shop, and we were really fast.
Do you feel like you need to go have a conversation with Sam?
I don't really know how much of a conversation you can, really have with him and in that situation. Like I said, we've been kind of grew up around racing each other. I think he has more starts than I do, and this is his second win. So congratulations to him on the second win, and definitely wish I had got my 13th there.
Tough way to end it for Ty Gibbs, the dominant car today at Watkins Glen.
And, you know, that he has like, oh, you know, congrats to Sam on getting his second win, and I have blah, blah, blah. Like, shut up, Ty Gibbs, with your high you and dash love child and bleep.
Gosh, that's crazy. Mr. Incredible's kid looking off. But yeah, I don't know, but honestly, the leprechaun, you know, he always thinks he's in the right. It is
Right.
what it is. But you know, he definitely did have a reason to, you know, be like, I that's just a typical Ty Gibbs response, honestly, about calling out someone else's wins. Mayer has been in the top 10 a decent amount. I'm not gonna lie, but didn't even think about this, but too, Gibbs and Mayer have had beef in the past. I mean, we saw them get into a fight before, so definitely Mayer finally got somewhat revenge in a way
Yeah.
on Gibbs. Not definitely in the track that I expected it to be, but it was about time he did something.
Right.
Because Mayer's used to getting, you know, pushed around. So that definitely caught me off guard, but you know, made me pretty happy.
I think I said if Allmendinger wasn't in the race, I thought for some reason he was in the race. I put it down as him being in the race. But I think I said if Allmendinger wasn't in the race, I picked Sam Mayer. So, yay, I got my pick right, technically. That's cool. He got a last lap pass on Sheldon Creed. If you haven't, or not last lap pass, but with 2 to go. But just another pain moment for Sheldon Creed. I feel like he's getting so close to a win, but just something happens. So I hope Sheldon can get a win at some point this season, and I think he should make the playoffs at least. That's good.
Yeah,
If I'm
so
correct, I got to look at the cutoff.
yep. So we'll look at the point standings in a minute after we hear from the people.
Yeah, taking a look. 29% said great, 71% said good, 0% said mess, okay, and 0% said bad. Henry 24257 says, good race. The Mayer and Gibbs incident was interesting. I agree. Taking a look at what you guys had to say about that. 80% were on Mayer's side and 20% were on Gibbs's side. Henry says Gibbs fenced Mayer and Mayer paid him back. Fair move, in my opinion. I agree with that.
Gotcha. And a happy early birthday to Henry, by the way.
Yeah, happy birthday, Henry.
Mike was like, that did not need to be added.
We do not care. But nah, that's actually a good birthday gift. Happy birthday, Henry. You got your name shouted out on the Nasboys. Driver today, nobody. I'm gonna give it, I guess, Ty Gibbs. He looked like he had the dominant car the whole race.
Well, he had the best car. I mean, think about it, Grandpa's money. But honestly, I think Mayer was driver today.
Oh man, if I ever see Ty Gibbs in person, I want to yell "Thank you, Grandpa," and I'm so bad.
That's crazy, bro. All right, so let's look at the point standings real quick for Xfinity first. Honestly, okay, so you got John Hunter Nemechek. He's still first. He has 5 wins, and he has 11 top 5, 17 top 10s, and has led the most laps by far than everyone else. He's led 662. The most laps led by any other drivers by Justin Allgaier with 307. So that's just telling you how much Nemechek is just way ahead. We got Austin Hill up there in points. He's technically in overall points ahead of Nemechek, but not in the playoff points. He has 4 wins, 13 top 5, 17 top 10s. You got Allgaier third. Allgaier's had a pretty solid season considering he hasn't won much. He's won 8 stages, though, which definitely is surprising. And as I mentioned before, it has 307 laps led. Cole Custer fourth with 2 wins. You know, Custer's been doing really solid in the Xfinity Series. I feel like him going back to the Xfinity Series was a good move. Sam Mayer's 5th, Chandler Smith is 6th, Josh Berry 7th, Sammy Smith 8th, or technically 8th in the playoff points. And you got Jeff Burton, Sheldon Creed, Daniel Hemrick, and Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst is only 3 above the cut line. Parker Kilgerman is 3 minus, is back by 3, and then Brandon Jones is minus 61. So I feel like Brandon Jones, Brad Moffitt, Rylan Parker, Retzlaff, Riley Sieg, Ryan Sieg, those drivers below the cut line need to win to get in. But Parker can definitely get in on points. He just needs to run well at Daytona. So, looking at the Cup Series, honestly, there's a couple spots. You know, Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski clinch playoff spots with points. And, they've had great seasons considering they haven't won a race. They've been really solid. Brad Keselowski's definitely improved this year. RFK Racing has really improved this year. Kevin Harvick, he's just been really solid and very consistent. So it makes sense that you get in on points. And then Bubba Wallace right now, 32 points above the cut line. Do you think he gets in?
I absolutely do, because I feel like, for one, he's a way better plate racer than Gibbs is. For two, I feel like he's going to have a lot more help because, with all due respect to Ty Gibbs, I feel like that the Toyotas are going to rally more around Bubba Wallace, and I feel like Bubba Wallace will be a faster car throughout the weekend just because of his success on Daytona and Talladega. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bubba Wallace makes it to the top 10, but Ty Gibbs, being in this position where he could potentially make it is pretty impressive for your rookie season. I mean, again, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but the kid can drive, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it next season. But yeah, but yes, I absolutely believe Bubba Wallace can make it to the playoffs.
You got a great point there. Bubba Wallace is really good on play tracks. He about won at Talladega earlier this year, except he made that dumb block. So, the only way I see him missing is if he makes a block, like a bad block or something, or he gets caught up in a wreck, which wouldn't surprise me. I definitely think that there'll probably be one big one at Daytona this year, for this race. I think that it'll probably be towards the end, and it'll probably take out some guys that are trying to get in. Gibbs is just outside the cut line. You got Daniel Suarez, he's minus 43, AJ's minus 72, and Alex Bowman's minus 98. So, other than Gibbs, I think with everyone else, they'd have to win to get in. The only way I think Gibbs gets in is if he beats out Wallace or wins the race and Wallace then wrecks out. So,
Right.
I'm looking forward to this Sunday's race, honestly. This weekend's races, we got the Truck Series, the Milwaukee Mile, we got the Xfinity Daytona, and the Cup of Daytona. So I'm sure it'll be a good race weekend. I'm hoping weather doesn't play a factor, because weather's honestly been hampering almost every single race weekend this year.
You know what's something weird that will hinder me, per se, watching the race is a Commanders preseason game, because for some reason, due to the fact that I live in the area where the Commanders play, they have to show it on national television. Thanks, Commanders, or national local television. But yeah, thanks, Commanders, for hindering my NASCAR race. Appreciate it. I don't want to watch your preseason game. All right.
Your NASCAR race. I see how it is.
All right, fine. Our NASCAR race. Thank you. I'm just joking.
Are
we doing picks or meme of the week?
We got a couple of topics to get into. Let's start off with some news topics. Chris, what's going on with drivers getting DUIs nowadays? Like,
yeah, I forgot. Let's see. We had Chris Hacker and then the American Jason White. That, I don't know what to say about that other than drinking and driving is probably the stupidest thing you could ever do.
Yeah. And then another news topic. Honestly, I honestly kind of saw this coming. The NASCAR Classics, big website with a lot of classic NASCAR races, and about every single one of them. I mean, there was some that I wish that were on there that I wish they had footage of from the 70s, but honestly, they did a great job with it. And a lot of people have been binge watching NASCAR races from whatever year they want. So I think what they did is a great thing. They also have it on YouTube, but honestly, YouTube, they don't have as much videos on YouTube. Plus, the quality's not as good on YouTube as, for some of them as they are on the website. But have you watched any of the races on there yet? I know I've watched a couple from the 70s and from the 50s.
No, I've not really had a chance to look at the races, but I think it's an excellent idea. A lot of sports leagues, they have a lot of classic moments and classic like full games on YouTube, and they have a lot of you know TV channels that show a lot of classic games. I know the NBA network has it. I know the NFL network, I think they have it. So this is a great idea for NASCAR to throw their hat into the ring with the whole classic thing. I felt like some of the races they picked were strictly because of who won and not necessarily that they were the best
Yeah.
race in NASCAR history. But otherwise, I thought the list was pretty fair. Comment down below if you guys want to see us react to some of the races. I don't know how possible that is, but it would be cool to react to some of those races at least.
And you're mixed in the 75 greatest races, correct? Because some of that list honestly was kind of atrocious at a couple points.
Right. I don't know how possible it would be with copyright, but if we could do it, that would be dope. At least one or two.
So go
I
ahead.
was gonna say NASCAR has another thing to do with TV. They're trying to get a deal with Netflix to do like another docu-series. I think I sent that in the chat if this is your first time hearing about it. My opinion on it is I really like this idea. I like the idea last season with the thing that they did with USA, but the thing I didn't like was that one, actually there was two things. One, it's on USA, which is a network that not everyone gets. Two,
Yeah.
it was at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night. Who's gonna stay up at 10 o'clock if you have like work or school? Who's gonna stay up to watch that? I'm sorry. I would because I like NASCAR and at the time it was out, I didn't have as many commitments, but like who's gonna do that? At least with Netflix, Netflix is a broader platform, more people have it. And look at the success it brought with F1. I think the NFL has a little docu-series, quarterback. I think that's going well, and that's bringing a lot of fans. I think golf even has one that's bringing in fans. So NASCAR desperately needs to do this. I feel like I hope they get this deal to go through because a lot of people I feel need to be exposed to this sport.
Well, a lot of the F1 fans here think that NASCAR's copying them with the documentary thing. Honestly, I could care less if they have it or not. I mean, it's not a problem. I just not a big fan of the Netflix. But they have one, great for them. But I want to mention real quick, there are some races on the NASCAR 75 that I did not agree with, and I'm just going to explain quickly why I have a couple on here. So a couple of them that I did not agree with being on the 75. There are some questionable ones, and the first one that I thought was kind of questionable was the 2005 California race. And this goes back to what you were saying, is they just kind of like they just picked based off the winner. And this was Kyle Busch's first win. It was a decent race, but was it 75 worthy? I've watched it before. Nah. A couple other ones that I feel like were not 75 worthy. 2004 Homestead. I've seen better races than that. I've seen better than 2007 Watkins Glen. The only thing really interesting about the 2007 Watkins Glen race was, first off, there's two things. Kevin Harvick versus Juan Pablo Montoya. And second of all, Jeff Gordon choking away to win with 2 laps to go by spinning out. The only two interesting things that I found about that race. Another one, 2007 Phoenix. Yeah, it was a great moment. Jeff Gordon tied Dale Earnhardt and wins. Was it 75 worthy? Definitely not. Another one that I thought was kind of strange to be on here was the 2010 Daytona 500. I thought that was strange. 2013 Dover, 2013 Dover. I've seen better Dover races than that. 2018 Chicagoland. That one I could definitely sort of agree with, considering the finish, but the overall race was overrated. 2021 Talladega. I was at this race. Definitely historical race and historical weekend, but was it 75 worthy? Nah. Yeah, Bo Wallace won, but does that make it 75 greatest race of all time? No. Another one, 2021 Phoenix. It was boring until the last restart. I'm not gonna lie. And then 2022 Martinsville and 2022 Talladega. Chase Elliott won that Talladega race. It was okay, and then the Martinsville race, the only thing that was it's known for is Rochester ride the wall. So I definitely could see other races being in there, like the 1988 Rockingham race, 1988, the 1979 World 600 was really good. It had a great battle between Dale Waltrip, Richard Petty, and Dale Earnhardt. That should have been in there. 1980 Southern 500 with Terry Labonte barely beating David Pearson at the finish. Great 5-car battle for the win. That should have been in there. There was definitely a couple other ones, like from the 1992 season that could have made it. I feel like there's a couple that I've written down that I feel like should have been in it. So maybe this is for another video. We could do another video like, hey, these races could have made the top 75 list. So if you want to do that, let me know.
I think the only race that I somewhat agreed with was kind of to 04 Homestead just because of Kurt Busch winning the championship, but otherwise, I get a lot of your points with these races. And like I said, I just feel like they just did it because a 75 best driver won it, or there was like one iconic moment with the Hail Melon.
And meme of the week, we only got one really nominee other than ones that are outdated. And that one nominee is by NASCAR Memes IG, just racing for win and desperation move. Here it is. I feel like this is definitely the meme of the week from what we've seen so far. So,
all right, let's get into our picks for this weekend's races at the Milwaukee Mile for the trucks and Daytona for the regular season finale for Xfinity and Cup. Kicking it off with the Milwaukee Mile. I feel like this is an interesting place to have a race at. I'm really excited to see the Milwaukee Mile. And the person that I'm going to pick, I think that the race will be a little similar to Wilkesboro. If I'm correct, Milwaukee Mile still has an older surface, and Wilkesboro had a pretty solid race on an older surface. And I'm going to go with Ty Majeski. Now, this is my third time in a row picking him, and I don't like always picking somebody for 3 times in a row, but we'll see if this can help. I remember them saying on the podcast, or not the podcast, but the last truck race at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, that Majeski had a lot of experience on the Milwaukee Mile, being from Wisconsin. So I feel like he can use that experience to his advantage and get 2 wins in a row. But if he doesn't win it, I think Hocevar Heim will win it.
Majeski, sometimes track basically, him winning would be pretty huge. I think though there's 2 drivers other than him I think have a good chance. This one driver, I picked him to win. North Wilkesboro, he worked his way up through the field and could have won if he didn't get caught in a wreck. Zane Smith, and then Carson Hocevar, who's been really strong on short tracks this year. And my pick to win is going to be Hocevar. I think there's going to be a couple wrecks, and I think Tanner Gray may have a good shot as well. I think Tanner Gray's going to finish in the top 10.
Yeah. I think he finished 3rd at Wilkesboro, if I'm correct, or somewhere good. But the Xfinity race at Daytona. I think that this race will be boring because I don't like the Xfinity package with the super speedways. But I think that there will be some intense moments, especially toward the end. And with Kilgerman and Herbst, it's going to be a big battle. And I could see either of them getting taken out. Like I was thinking which one is just going to get taken out first, because I could see Herbst doing a dumb move, and I could just see Kilgerman being involved in somebody's mess. So I still have not decided who I think is going to make the Xfinity playoffs from the cutoff, but my pick to win the race is Austin Hill. It's a little risky because he could also get caught up in a wreck, but I feel like that guy has really mastered the plate tracks over the past few plate races, and I just see him doing really, really well and winning the race.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, I could definitely see Austin Hill winning, for sure because he's dominated as you mentioned in the last couple super speedway races. And then I have same thoughts with Riley Herbst and Kilgerman. I could see them getting caught up in wrecks. They usually do on super speedways. So if we're being honest, if I think there'll probably be a big wreck towards the end. Like usual, the Xfinity races over the last couple of years at Daytona have always had a big wreck at the end. I want to go with Chandler Smith. College racing's been really good at super speedways in the past, so I could definitely see Chandler Smith, bringing college racing back to victory lane at Daytona.
And then for the Cup race, this is going to be a great race. I feel like I'm in the minority here. I love Daytona as the regular season finale. It brings so much hype and so much anticipation and craziness that NASCAR needs for a regular season finale. And I am really excited for this race. Again, one more time to say it, Bubba Wallace will make it. I feel like he needs to get at least 10 to 12 stage points, maybe 15 in order for him to really seal the deal. But I feel like that if he just stays out of trouble and does what we know Bubba Wallace can do on a super speedway, he will get in. And
Yeah.
my pick for the race is somebody that I'll always back and forth do on Daytona with Joey Logano, and that person is Brad Keselowski. I think that Brad Keselowski has had a couple of strong runs. He's been really strong at Daytona the last couple of years in the Coke 400 and the Daytona 500. And now that he and RFK are getting the speed together, I would not be surprised if it translates to a track where Keselowski was very good at with the Penske boys.
I was thinking about picking Brad, as well, and I think you're overhyping the race a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a great race. I'll be honest with you. I think it'll be decent. We'll probably see a lot of single file early on. I think Bubba Wallace, if he just stays up front and gets those stage points and stays out of trouble, he'll basically punch it. It would be cool to see like Eric Almirola and Eric Jones go back to victory lane during the summer Daytona race. I don't think it's going to happen though. But if Eric Jones does win, that's going to knock somebody out. So that'd be quite interesting if that does happen. And we saw a little bit of drama with the cutoff line last year. So if something does happen, that would be interesting. But if at the end of the day, I like Daytona being towards the cutoff line, but I wouldn't say I agree with it being the final race for the cut line just because a wreck could just take anybody out in their hard work, be thrown out the window because of a play track. I'd rather see Daytona on the 4th of July weekend, but that's just my personal opinion. And for the race pick, I'm gonna go with Ryan Blaney to win on Sunday or Saturday. Is it on Sunday or Saturday? I forgot which one the race is
It's on Saturday night.
Yeah, so I'll probably be able to watch it. Hey, works out.
I will probably be able to watch it on Peacock, but like I mentioned before, the Commanders get to take over NBC because, DMV area, whoop-de-doo, I can't watch national NBC, but whatever. Thanks again, Commanders. Really appreciate you guys and your mid-season that's going to come, 8 and 9 probably.
Mid-season, that's crazy. I mean, I'm not
I'm a
gonna lie, they
Commander.
probably will.
The funny thing is I'm a Commanders fan too. I just am crapping on them for,
Yeah.
because they're ruining NASCAR.
Well, you don't really have. Okay, I won't go that far, but I think that they've had quite the change organizational wise, and they're just a mess. And I feel if I were a Washington Commanders fan like you, I'd probably be done and switching teams by now. I'm not gonna lie. Like
You have
it's
no
just
idea
a
how many
bad
times
look.
Christian, you have no idea how many times I've wanted to switch teams, but I can't because this team always ropes you back in. But
And speaking of um competitors to NASCAR. SRX they put on a lot of great numbers this year, honestly. Ryan Newman won the XRX championship. I believe he won one race. But a lot of Cup drivers participated in it. I thought SRX had a pretty successful season, but it always goes by way too fast, and I don't get to watch every race. So I think there was only 2 races that I actually got to watch this summer for SRX.
Well, a couple of notes that I want to make about SRX is that it's cool. Comment down below if next season you want to hear more about SRX. What else? Ryan Newman technically is a 2-time champion because they had a points error last season with Marco Andretti.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So therefore, Ryan Newman is the SRX GOAT. And I think that Paul Tracy cannot drive a car. I think he sucks. I'm so glad they kicked him out. And yeah, Paul Tracy is an idiot. I mean, how do you squeeze Newgarden into the wall, but yet say he hooked you, even though Newgarden's trying to get out of the wall, probably not even trying to hook him, just trying to get off the wall because he bounced off the wall.
Oh, trouble front straightaway. It is Newgarden and Tracy, and they collect Ken Schrader and sweep him to the inside wall.
You are an idiot, Paul Tracy.
Well, Tracy caused a lot of wrecks over the years in the SRX, and Haley Deegan, she's been running better in SRX than in the Truck Series. Truck Series, she's just fallen off a cliff. I don't know if she's. I feel like she's definitely gone. She's not lived up to the hype, I would say, that people expect her to be. I think Tony Brettinger would be better than her, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Tony Brettinger would have a better career than her if she moves up to trucks. I'm just keeping it real.
I think that if you
we'll see. There's some talented drivers, female drivers in ARCA, and it takes a lot of talent to be in these cars. But at the same time, Deegan has had such a bad year.
I would just like to mention, if you put somebody like Jake Garcia in the 13 instead of Deegan, I feel like that truck would have been in the playoffs. Deegan sucks, man. I mean, her first couple seasons, okay, there were incidents that weren't her fault. This year, I think there's been more instances that are her fault. She hasn't been running as well. And I just think she sucks, and there's no hype around her anymore. It's like Decker. The hype is starting to go away, I feel like, and people mainly care about her for being a simp. But
that's crazy.
Anyways, that's going to close out this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
See y'all.